The 1974 Lancia Stratos HF is an old Italian supercar, made for going places where no other supercar has gone before, rallying. This fine piece of A-dollar was built and designed from the ground up, as a replacement for the outgun Lancia Fulvia, which unfortunately, doesn't appear in this game, but it looks like this. The Stratos was the first rally car to be considered a homologation special, as it was mandated in the WRC rules. So in order to meet said requirement, Lancia had to build 500 cars in total, of which, reportedly, 492 were road-going Stradale versions. All versions of the Stratos were powered by a 2.5-litre Dino V6 engine, from the Ferrari Dino V6. Enzo, being the bastard he was, shipped the engines rather reluctantly, so the production of the Stratos was slow to serialize. Only when Lancia were exploring the possibility of using engines from Maserati, Enzo caved and coughed up the engines, since he saw the Stratos as a direct competitor to the Dino, and the production of the engine was slow. And it's a good thing that he did, since the Stratos went on to dominate the Group 4 class of the WRC through 1974 to 1976, being moderately successful until the end of the decade, not counting its performance in Rallycross and other racing series, where it went on to win the 1974 Targa Florio, 5 times winner of the Tour de France Automobile, and a hat-trick at the Giro d'Italia Automobilistico. The one in-game is the base Stradale stock, with the possibility of upgrading it to its rally car counterpart, both in terms of looks and performance. But even if it is stock, it shouldn't be underestimated, with a healthy 190 horsepower mid-mounted V6, 980 kilograms of weight and short wheelbase is nothing short of a track weapon, even if the stock suspension might feel a bit spongy at times. Since it is mid-engined, it does have a tendency to understeer and suddenly change its mind to oversteer, due to its short wheelbase. That makes it really satisfying to drive on analog or wheel, but mainly if it is rather close to stock, since the difficulty of handling this car can be equated to an exponential function graph, where the more power and grip you have, the harder it is to drive. And in order to demonstrate this rather peculiar and scientific phenomena, we had to get out tame a wild racing driver with a background in Newtonian physics and standard mathematics. Some say, he has a voice of an angel, and that whenever he catches a glimpse of a National Geographic documentary, he gets the sudden urge to eat cheese. All we know is, that he's called Steve. This car is very quick, despite only having 355 horsepower at peak performance, and that is due to its main feature, its wheelbase. And in order to tame the beast, Steve went into the garage to fiddle with it, and here's the result. Since it's so short, it requires getting used to, but once you get a good feel for it, you'll be flying, especially on 180-degree sweeping turns, like turn 1 on midfield, where you can take a lot of speed through it, if you can keep the can under control, which in order to do so, you'll need to keep the throttle open while cornering, and having rapid and yet minute steering inputs, if the situation calls for it. Your goal is to keep it going as straight as possible, and if you can manage to do that, you too, with a little safe scumming, will become a GT World Champion.